Welcome everyone to this geeky panel. I am actually not going to be the host for this one. It will be Filip who's the host, but I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce a very special guest that we have on here, and that is Mr. Steven Ekman, who is both a good friend of mine as well as the one of the admins for the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund. He is a game designer, very active member of the board game community. And special thank you to Stephen, who in the most recent Jack Vassell Memorial Fund donated to one of the auction items on there, which was to be able to be part of one of these streams. So thank you to you for your both generous donation, and thank you for being available to be part of B&D CON. All right, let me see. I could not hear you there, actually. Nope.
Steven is doing his best mime impression.
Yeah.
Marty's in a box, pulling a rope. Wait.
You got it.
Can hear Marty. And I'm just checking here on the... Yeah, because you are unmuted.
I can hear Philip's jacket from here.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Finally, like this jacket was in my closet for more than 1 year. After, of course, we cannot go to any physical convention, which I always, during which I always have this jacket. And now this is the occasion. So yeah, after 1 year.
I know this jacket very well, very well. For anyone who doesn't know, I followed Filip around Essen 2 years ago, probably for about 3 or 4 hours in total for the whole convention, doing nothing but coming up behind him in the middle of a crowd, going waka 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 waka.
Yes, I still recover from that.
Good time.
Can you hear me now?
Hey! Yes, we can.
All right.
Singing voice.
Modern technology.
That's right.
Yep. So yes, again, thank you. Welcome, Stephen. Thank you again for that. And I will let Filip is going to be the host for this. I'm going to take a little break behind the scenes and stuff. But
there's no time off this weekend. No.
No.
Okay, scratch Rainer off the list of 5 iconic characters. No.
He was number 3 for me.
I need to eat something. So it's been a few hours already, and I need
no worries. This is bathroom break number 1.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, Filip, take it away and have fun.
Great. So, hello everyone. Once again, we are doing B&D CON, and I have with me Scott from GTS, Marty from the amazing podcast Rolling Dice and Taking Names, and of course Steven from Just Got Played. I'm very happy to have you guys with me, and we will now spend like 12 hours deeply analyzing your 5 iconic characters from either movie, books, it can be even a poster. So let me set some, like maybe 1 or 2 basic rules. So each of you will present 5 of your iconic characters, but we will do it one by one, starting from a 5, then we goes down, and we will like give some few words about why this person or that person is on your list, how that person influenced you or not, or maybe influence your turning point of your life, career, and so on. I'm so excited. I have my 5. In some cases more than 5, but I'm the host and I can cheat. So let's start from the number 5 and let's go clockwise, and let's start from Steven.
Woohoo! First, I get to post in the comments first, like I'm new to the internet. Spoiler alert: I'm older than the internet, actually, which is why pretty much everything you hear out of me today is going to be from the '80s. I am an 80s kid. So the way I made my list is I actually couldn't just do a top 5. So I thought of categories of iconic characters that I wanted to talk about. And then I picked one character in each of that category, each of those. So I started off with what I'm calling the humble hero, right? So it's somebody who is just a humble person, but is very skilled. And then when it comes time to do their thing, they do their thing, they do it well, and they're the hero, and they, save the day. And in this case, the person that I picked was Leroy Green from a movie from the 80s called The Last Dragon. In the movie, sometimes they call him Bruce Leroy. This is the only one I have a visual aid for. But if you've seen the yes, exactly. And I love that character. He's a very humble guy. And when I think of martial arts, I think most people think of Bruce Lee, a great martial arts character in any movie he played. But Bruce Leroy is like Bruce Lee, except he's completely the opposite personality-wise. He's completely humble. And I love that movie. In that movie, spoiler alert, when Leroy near the end says, "I am," that's one of my favorite moments in movies. It just makes me smile so much. And so my interest in martial arts and just the whole fantasy thing going on in that movie, I love it. And I love that character.
So you'll be very jealous to know that I met Timok, actually. One of my friends actually in Austin, Texas, had a huge Last Dragon event where it was, him and several of the cast members, and that's kind of his job, is he does these like movie events. And I have to tell you, Timok was probably one of the nicest people I've ever met. He was just so cool, so cool as the other side of the pillow. I mean, very nice, talked to everybody for a long time. And yeah, that movie's a blast.
Yeah, it was Shonuff there?
No,
the guy that played Julius something is his name. I can't remember the actor's name right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm a child of the 80s, and I never saw this movie.
What? You're fired. Get out of here.
It is an iconic 80s movie to me. Yeah.
Does it hold up now?
Yeah, so it is horrible and awesome at the same time, right? It's got awful 80s music and awful 80s clothing and not the best production in the world, because it was like a budget production from Berry Gordy, who I think was from Motown, actually, from the music industry. And so it doesn't hold up in a lot of those regards, but story and action and everything, it still holds up. So it is worth watching.
Okay.
So thank you, Steven, that you start my top 5 person to Google after the
I'm already looking. Where can I stream it? So somewhere.
Very nice.
So let's move on to Scott. Scott, give me your
So I did mine kind of differently too. Like, you were coming up with categories. I like that, Steven. That's really cool. I looked at in my opinion, what are the top 5 characters that are secondary characters, people who weren't the lead in their TV show or their movie or their book or anything like that. And I actually took it a step further, and I have a quote from each one of them. So I wanted to read the quote and see if you guys can guess who the character is before I give the character away. So we're going to have a little fun. And feel free, I can see the chat. All of us can see the chat. So as I say these things, if you know who they are, fire it off and jump in there. So my number 5, the quote is, "You have a corpse in a car, minus a head, in the garage. Take me to it."
That sounds familiar.
I have seen this.
It was said very early in the morning in the movie.
So it is a movie. Okay.
Movie. Stumped. All right. That's good. Doesn't look like anyone's saying it in the chat either.
You want to give us the time period?
The time period the movie was released. The time period the movie was released. 90s, I think, if I remember right. 99. Is the movie from this millennium? No, I believe it was last millennium. Yeah. Good question, though.
Dang it. Nope. No, we got to keep going. Who's the star of the movie?
Who is the star of the movie? I would say there are actually 2 stars of the movie. Okay. One of them being John Travolta and the other being Samuel L. Jackson.
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. Yeah.
Pulp Fiction. This is Winston Wolfe, Harvey Keitel. I enjoyed Pulp Fiction a lot. I got to see it on an opening celebration in Austin, Texas, where I used to live. And Harvey Keitel's character of Winston Wolfe was just amazing to me. He's only in the movie for a few minutes, but he is the embodiment of get it done. Like his entire position in that movie is the fixer, and I'm going to solve everything. And I kind of really just love the fact that they call him at like 6:40 in the morning and he's at a cocktail party with a tuxedo on, which of course is amazing. So good stuff.
Cool. So Marty.
All right. So I, like everybody else, have categorized mine instead of just my top 5.
And we didn't plan this. Like
we did not plan this. It's mine. I'm taking my top iconic character from 5 different mediums.
Ooh.
Okay. So first we're going to go with literature. And this is a book I read as a kid. And ever since then, I've been infatuated with this character. And that is Dracula from Bram Stoker, written in 1897. I was a huge Dracula fan, watching all the old black and white movies, and anything involving Dracula and vampires and that lore, I'm just sucked into. It's like, for example, a Games Workshop just came out with their Cursed City, which is basically it's their co-op game based with a bunch of vampires. Vampires are coming back to Age of Sigmar. So I was all into it. So ever since I read Dracula and watched those old movies, Dracula has been an iconic character for me for all time. I mean, as long as I can remember.
So if there's like a campy comedic portrayal of Dracula, does that fit too, or is it always have to be the dark?
So one of my favorite comedies right now is What They Do in the Shadows.
Oh yeah, with Taika Waititi, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a TV series right now that I absolutely love. So again, anything in that lore and mythology, I'm going to be into.
I liked how you said anything like that I get sucked into. Get it?
That was written down. I can't prove that. So there's my number 5, which happens to be my literature.
Now, you said that was written in 1897?
Unless the internet is wrong, yes.
I was going to ask, were you alive then? Or is that, oh, no.
Scott, you ain't that far behind me.
I'm not. No, you got more hair than I do, so I can't complain.
Maybe it's real. I don't know.
What do you have, Philip?
So, because every of you said that, so I will say also that I categorize everything, like, because this is how what I supposed to say after you all categorize yours. So my number 5 is Frodo from Lord of the Rings. And why? Because in my childhood, that was the first character in book which was not muscular, was not superhero depiction, like the perfect superhero that always grab his sword and like slave all those monsters. That person was like, I can identify with that character because there was nothing about, there is no muscles in me, like big muscles. So
your brain's a big muscle, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I dive into this story, which become a very epic story, and to give me as a person, encourage me to do stuff that is beyond my point of view, and the Frodo was the first character which shows that you can look on the story from the different perspective, and then that's cool.
That's a good.
Is it because you have hairy feet?
If you can see that, you can see that's like 99% of my body is covered with hair. So yes,
he does.
You don't need to prove it. That's all right.
Yeah. Too many information. I know.
I've always been a Samwise fan from Lord of the Ring. I feel like he's the true hero of the story, in my opinion. In fact, my neighbor has a brand new dog, and they named it Samwise, which I thought was great.
Well, the story's told from his point of view, right?
Yeah.
Come to find out in the end, he's the one telling the story.
Yep.
So we are going back to Steven, and you're number 4.
So it's interesting because my number 4, what I was trying to capture here was characters that give me a sense of adventure. And I find that interesting because you just mentioned Frodo and Samwise, right? Those could all fit in this category. So many characters could fit in this category. But, you know, as I was growing up, as an adult, I have this sort of sense of adventure. I wanted to travel, see historical sites, learn about other cultures and things like that. And so the character that I think of from my childhood that comes to mind when I think of a sense of adventure is a character you will not have to Google. You know this character. It is Indiana Jones. And of course, the most iconic portrayal of Indiana Jones is by Harrison Ford. And I mentioned that because I will later talk about Harrison Ford a little bit. Well, there was also like River Phoenix played young Indiana Jones. And there was even a TV show. So there are some other people, but you know, everybody thinks Harrison Ford when they think Indiana Jones, and travel and exotic locations and literally fighting Nazis, you know, all great things.
I've had many people tell me that he is the most iconic movie character. And I actually read an article once that told me that his original name in the movie was Indiana Smith, and that Spielberg forced and pushed real heavily to change the name because there was some other adventurer from, I can't remember what medium, but I think it was called Nevada Smith. And they didn't want to have any comparisons or anything like that. So I can't imagine it. Just Indiana Jones just sounds so much more natural than Indiana Smith, right?
It's interesting talking about the name because one of my children is named Andrew, and his nickname is Ender from the book Ender's Game. But after I showed him Raiders of the Lost Ark, he asked me to start calling him Indy as short for Ender. So I call him Indy half the time now.
That's awesome. That's cool.
So in my case, Indiana Jones series was the one of 2 series of movies. Like the first one was Star Wars, which like allows me and my father to watch a series together. Like those 2 movie series, Star Wars and Indiana Jones, was those moments when I sit with my dad and we can go for this whole marathon of movies. And this is how this settled in my memory, that those moments with me and my dad, finally we can watch something together and have very joyful moments from the same jokes or situations, and talk later about them.
That's awesome. Cool. All right, my number 4, I think you guys will get the minute I say the quote. So we'll see how good everybody's memory is. I would be willing to bet that there is no way on God's green earth that you have not seen this movie, Marty. So,
is that the quote?
Yeah, no. The quote is, "I do not think you will accept my help, since I'm only waiting around to kill you."
Oh, yeah, that's the Princess Bride. That's Wesley.
No,
it's Inigo Montoya, right?
Inigo Montoya atop the Cliffs of Sanity, played by Mandy Patinkin, who I think Mandy Patinkin is one of the most versatile actors on the planet. I think he's done tremendous amount of stuff between Broadway and movie and TVs. And I remember The Princess Bride so lovingly. It's something that was a family movie for us when we were growing up. And it's still now is a family movie for us. Now we have kids and we show them. And Inigo, to me, even though he wasn't the main character of Wesley, he kind of embodied like that entire feeling of not just the revenge arc and everything that he was doing with the 6-fingered man, but the focus. And he was always singularly on this one path, staying on that path until, obviously, ultimately the end happens. Don't want to give away any spoilers. I don't know who's seen it and who's not seen it. But I thought that he had a great ending then, potentially leading into what could become as Wesley kind of teases that carrot to him. So I thought that was a great character.
That is a great character and a great movie. Because of this movie, I studied fencing for 4 years under a former German Olympic fencing coach in high school. And then I taught it briefly in college. I mean, I can't do it now. I'm old now. But back in the day, I learned fencing, and it was entirely because of this movie.
Can you duel with your left hand?
Absolutely. I'm not as good, but if, I want to show off, I might do it a little bit.
That's pretty awesome.
All right. So my number 4 is the movie category. And I actually switched this around. I was not going to do this now, but I might as well, because mine is also Indiana Jones. from the, like you said, one of the most
Yes.
iconic movie characters of all time. And when I was a kid, yes, I had an Indiana Jones licensed fedora. Yes, I had a whip. And yes, my theme song every time I went out and played in the yard was, you know, John Williams' famous score for Indiana Jones. It was just those three movies, Temple of Doom, but Last Crusade, and there was no fourth movie. Last Crusade and Raiders of the Lost Ark are just so iconic. And the character of Indiana Jones, he's funny, he's smart. You know, every guy wanted to be like him because he was so suave and debonair. He could fight. It was just love that character. Same as we talked earlier, so I won't, you know, beleaguer the point. But yes, Indiana Jones, my number one movie character.
That's awesome. You know, with Origins coming out later and the game of Origins being around aliens actually helping build our civilization, I mean, it kind of adds some validity to the Crystal Skull.
Stop. Filip, what's yours, man? Let's move on because I don't want to stick on this point. There was no Crystal Skull. I don't know what you're talking about.
My number 4 sounds silly, but it impacts me very much. And this is not a character, but actually it's a cow and chicken cartoon. I don't know if you know this cartoon. Like, I grew up on Cartoon Network. When I first time saw Cow and Chicken, it's redefined the humor in cartoons for me. Like, how they can play with the formula of those half-cut parents, and that those parents has a cow and chicken. Like, it was like, for me, it was like, wow, like you can do cartoon based on that. Like, you can move the humor from being very, very silly to some sort of stand-up comedy in the cartoons. And this shows me that, oh, there can be things rediscovered in this genre after seeing Cow and Chicken, which also like impact me with how you can play with cartoons and how you can progress and show something new, something fresh and silly and crazy and abstract, which I did not see a lot before that on Cartoon Network.
I watched a lot of Cartoon Network. I was a big fan of Cartoon Chicken, Cow and Chicken, and a lot of the cartoons during that time. You know, Cowardly, the Dastardly, the Cowardly Dog, whatever the dog one was.
Yes.
Wasn't on Cartoon Network, but a big fan of Ren and Stimpy during that time. Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, Ed and Eddie.
Ed and Eddie. Oh my gosh, my sons adored Ed and Eddie. There was a time starting in the 90s where, like you said, cartoons got smart. They were like written for kids, but adults could go, that's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
Animaniacs.
Animaniacs. Yeah, I was a big fan. They're not from the 90s, but the regular show that was on about 10 years ago was an amazing show.
Yeah. I like that. That's a good way to look at it too, that it's not a good show, but it's like it's offering you something in a medium you wouldn't have normally seen before, right? Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So, Steven, we are once again back to you.
All right, number 3, right? So probably my favorite category of hero is the reluctant hero. It's someone who is maybe just a regular person or has some special set of skills and is in a situation they're just like, fine, I'll save the world. I guess somebody has to, right? And there are a lot of great characters like that. I mean, John McClane from Die Hard is like that. Mad Max in the second movie to a certain extent is like that. There are historical people like this. Cincinnatus from 500 BC, he laid down his tools at his farm to go become the dictator of Rome to repel an invasion. And then after he did that, he just said, all right, I give up and I go back to being a farmer, right? And just give up my dictatorial powers. And George Washington, to an extent, declining to be a monarch and limiting his presidency to 2 terms, et cetera. Right? So there's historical and characters, et cetera. But my favorite one is from 1986, Big Trouble in Little China, Kurt Russell as Jack Burton. And that is an excellent 80s movie. There's all kinds of fantasy stuff going on. And that character, he's hilarious. He's a hero. He doesn't want to be a hero, but he is anyway. I just want to get my truck back. Well, no, I'll save the world. Okay. Yeah.
Man, I don't want to hear Act of God. That's a good movie. That's one that it's so funny to me. I've introduced a lot of the movies that you've talked about, Stephen, to my kids. And for us being children of the 80s, like they're iconic, right? You're like the Pork Chop Express, Jack Burton, like this is amazing. And like inevitably of all three of my kids, there's one of them that will always be like, this is the lamest thing ever. It falls flat in some way or another. So
it's so funny that you said that because my kids are big fans of Kurt Russell and love The Thing, and they love Escape from New York. So I said, "Oh my gosh, you got to watch this movie." And I'm watching it. I'm going, "Oh my gosh, this does not hold up as well as I thought." And I kept looking at it. But when it was over, it's like, "Yeah, it was all right." It's like, "Dang it!"
Have you showed them Overboard with Goldie Hawn?
I have not.
Oh yeah,
I'm not going to.
No, don't. Yeah.
The nice thing is you could just show him, his son now is Captain America. So
that's right. That's right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So that's good. All right. So my number 3. So just as a reminder, in case anybody came in late, my numbers are secondary characters, not the main iconic, like primary, protagonist of the movies or books or anything like that. This one is from a TV show. You're going to know who, maybe you'll know who it is, but you're going to know what the TV show is the minute I say the quote, because it actually has the title of the TV show in the quote. So that's the way it is. But this is someone who, it's a very recent TV show. I loved it. I cannot even describe in any language worth of words how much I loved this show. So the quote is, "This is what we've been looking for since the day we met. Time. That's what the good place really is. It's not even a place, really. It's just having enough time with the people you love." Which was said by Chidi Anagonye, which was played by William Jackson Harper, who, in my opinion, is one of the greatest written characters on TV. If you haven't watched The Good Place, it is phenomenal. I highly, highly recommend it. If you have, you probably know Chidi is just one of the most adorable and lovable characters. And I loved that his arc took him from being so concerned about the most minutia of decisions, the just simplest things of, do I pick up the glass with my right hand or my left hand? And he would have an existential conversation about why to do it, to at the end of the season, being able to answer questions about reality and life and time and all these existential things. So the actor, William Harper, just did a phenomenal job. And I love that character. So that's one of my favorites.
My wife watched this show without me, which means I will probably never watch it, unfortunately. But she spoke highly of it, maybe just to, make fun of me. Amazing
amount of one-liners in the show. Very, very good show.
It's great shit. It's one of those that didn't overstay its welcome. When they announced it's like it's time for the final season, I was like, good, because the concept could be run into the ground, and I think it was like perfect timing to wrap it up.
I agree. Too many shows nowadays just continue to kind of, take blood from the rock and just try to kind of squeeze that last drop out every time. And man, this was perfectly timed, I thought. So,
yeah. All right. So my next one is, and again, I like how Scott does a recap for those who are new. So mine are the 5 most iconic characters from 5 different mediums. So far, I've done literature, I've done movies. So let's go to TV, and it kind of wraps back to my literature one, because my number 1 iconic character from TV is Buffy Summers from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Again, nice. I was like, why am I interested in this? Like, well, it's about like vampires and stuff, so I'll watch it. But that character in that show basically changed the whole way I looked and thought about TV shows. I went from, I can enjoy, not well-written TV shows to, no, it's got to have good characters. It's got to have good story. It's got to have good emotion, because through 7 seasons of Buffy, there'll be times I'd be laughing and 30 seconds later, you'd have like a tear coming down your eye. It's just an iconic show, but Buffy had this whole transformation of going from kind of like a reluctant hero. Basically, it's like, I'm a Slayer. What does that even mean? Going from that to the very end of the show, basically leading all Slayers across the world and everything like that. So Buffy Summers from Buffy the Vampire Slayer is my most iconic TV show character.
So if somebody wants to, watch Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think, right, her portrayal of Buffy, should they watch the movie first?
No, there is no movie. There's no number 4 Indiana Jones. There is no movie. No, seriously.
I love this universe that Marty lives in. It's like
one reason why the TV show was made was because they changed the original story of Buffy so much in the movie that the writer said, let me do it the way it was supposed to be done. Start with the TV show and you can go from there.
I did not know
and
that.
The second season of Buffy is one of my all-time favorite seasons of TV anytime. Season 2.
I have a friend who has a black cat named Spike. Yeah. And
James Marsters, played by James Marsters. Yep.
My wife loved Buffy. I enjoyed Buffy. I was not as much of a fan as you were for it, but I really like her Unmatched deck. The game Unmatched has the Buffy Vampire Slayer set, and that's really good.
So my number 3 is, okay, guys, you will have to help me with, I don't will say this name correctly, but my number 3 is Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I think it's DeGrasse. Neil deGrasse.
Neil
Tyson.
deGrasse scientist, the physicist.
Yes.
This is my iconic character because, like, from the perspective of science, and I love science. I love astrophysics, quantum mechanism, and so on. And this person he has this gift of explaining very complicated stuff with such interesting way that he grabs ears of everyone. Like, everyone can and want to hear what Neil says about any subject of science, because he just explained in such in such a fluent and common language that everyone can understand. And I can watch his talks, his podcasts and vlogs he participates in for hours to just because he helped visualize science in people's mind. And the way he described, I built a picture in my head instantly without I lost in halfway. No. Like, when he explained, he will do that in a way that you will at the end know what this is about. And this gift will, I believe, in future will put him on a very high place when it comes to the people who influence in popularity of science in mainstream.
I didn't know we could pick real people. He's awesome.
Yeah, I was going all fake too.
I mean, he has character.
Yeah, like,
it's not really. He's going to unzip one day and be somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, like,
he's alien. No,
you.
It would have to be Gary Oldman.
I warn you at the beginning that I'm the host and I can cheat. Right?
You can cheat. That's totally cool.
fair.
Hey, that's a good one to cheat on. I could listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson read the phone book and probably be entertained. So
that's fair. One little tidbit before we move on. I just happened to see, I don't know if he's still here, but David Waybright made a comment in the chat, and David's been on some streams earlier in the con. His wife was an extra in one of the episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I just geeked out over it with her. It's like, tell me all about it. Tell me all what it's about and everything. So, and then it's like, I found a little shot of her. It's like, I think it was when her and a character named Faith were dancing at a club, and she's one of the dancers in the club. So there you go.
That's awesome.
All right. I'm sorry. I geeked out enough. I'll stop.
Steven.
All right, so we're up to number 2, right? And so when you're a kid, your life is very regimented. You have to go to school, you have homework, a dinner time, a bedtime. And so I think you kind of crave independence. So I was thinking of characters that are fiercely independent, and the reason this character is also at number 2 for me is because they're also a reluctant hero to a certain extent. There's definitely a sense of adventure here. And if you think about this character who has their own spaceship and a really cool Wookiee co-pilot, and again, an iconic portrayal by Harrison Ford, it is Han Solo. And it is interesting that there are, 2 characters on this list that were played by Harrison Ford. For me, I've told people before that, may Harrison Ford live forever. But when finally he does pass on, I will finally recognize that my childhood has died and I am an old man.
Harrison Ford, I think you could make a top 50 maybe of all the different characters he's played. But yeah, Han Solo is hard to beat. Very hard to beat.
I hope you don't have to Google that one. Star Wars. Yeah.
No, I think I'm not knowing. I don't know. I would like to say no, you don't. But I used to have Yoda on my credit card. And I kid you not, it was about maybe 6 months ago. I went to a Starbucks and I gave my card, and the barista looked at it and went, oh, it's Star Wars. And I'm like, you didn't know Yoda from your sign. I'm officially really old now. I was like,
right. And Baby Yoda is such a hot thing, Grogu, right now too.
Hot, right? Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So fun stuff. All right, my number 2 is also from an action movie. My number 2 is, in my opinion, I think one of the best female characters ever on screen, if not possibly the best. So the quote here from her is, "There are things machines will never do. They cannot possess faith. They cannot commune with God. They cannot appreciate beauty, and they cannot create art. If they ever learn these things, they won't have to destroy us. They'll be us."
Terminator?
Bingo. Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton, Terminator. Most people know this or not. I'm actually the youngest of 6 kids. And my 5 older siblings are all sisters. And seeing this woman just kick absolute ass, just be the queen and own everything. I mean, she was just throughout the entire arc. And I'm not going to be like Marty and be like, oh, this movie doesn't exist. There were some bad Terminator movies, but even in the bad ones, she shined through. And I think Linda is a great actor on her own right. But I think that character, Sarah Connor, is just super iconic when it comes to, there's all these times where people will put action heroes up on the screen, and, it's Schwarzenegger and Stallone and all these people. And I'm like, Linda Hamilton should be up there because she is pretty awesome. So I love that character.
Linda Hamilton is awesome. Although personally, I think she is trumped by Sigourney Weaver in the Aliens series.
The only reason I didn't take her is my list was about secondary characters. So that was,
Well, the Alien's the primary character. Sigourney Weaver's secondary.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, when I think of Linda Hamilton in Terminator, I just think of that scene with that pump shotgun with one hand and pumping it and shooting and pumping it again.
I don't know if I could do that. I mean, it's like
my brother was in a movie with Linda Hamilton. He was just an extra in Children of the Corn because we lived in Sioux City, Iowa, where they were filming it. And so they would all, the cast and crew would all eat lunch together. And some of the more well-known stars in the movie were sort of standoffish, but Linda Hamilton is just a great person. She was right in there talking to all the extras and meeting everybody. Very approachable person. And so probably the highlight of my brother's experience making that movie was just interactions with her.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
All right. So the next one on my list is my number 1 video game character of all time. And instead of saying it, I'm going to show you.
This is going to be good.
Make sure it's.
Samus.
This is Samus Aran
Metroid.
from Metroid. I have loved basically her backstory. She is, she was once in the Galactic Federation. She's now a bounty hunter. She has some of the best skills. She's basically a loner. She goes out and she does her thing. Plus, the video game's absolutely amazing. Metroid Prime is one of my favorite games of all time. Nintendo, please release the Metroid Prime trilogy. Okay. Almost 3 years ago at Origins, when they announced Metroid Prime 4, I was in my hotel room at Origins watching this stream. Just yes, I was just screaming my eyes out. And but even not only that, but Metroid introduced a style of game that I love today called Metroidvania, which is Metroid plus Castlevania. It's still a game that I enjoy today. So Samus Aran, my number one video game character of all time. Just give me the Metroid Prime trilogy and 4 and I'll be happy.
I approve wholeheartedly of that choice.
Right. So my number 2 is actually a recent discovery. And this is a character who don't care to belong in this avenue of superhero. He wants to aim his goals in sometimes crazy but funny ways, because I love comedy. And this is Deadpool. Like he's only one. Like he's so different. He's like this outtaker, and I like all of this about him. That he is fun. He achieved his own goals, and he don't want to belong to those highly superhero that will protect the world. No, he crossed all the boundaries, and this is so great.
Anything that breaks the fourth wall, I'm very interested in. Starting with Ferris Bueller, when it's like, why is this so funny? There's the breaking of the fourth wall. And then I just love shows and media that does that.
It is good when it is used sparingly.
That's true.
Well, Deadpool's whole thing is the fourth wall, I think. I don't think, it's funny. I could probably have a day-long debate about who was the better person born to play their Marvel character, with, on one hand, Ryan Reynolds being Deadpool, and on the other hand, Wesley Snipes being Blade. Oh man, they were like
that's why it's going to be so hard for me to watch the new Blade with, and I forgot the gentleman's name, Mahershala
Ali.
Yeah, amazing actor, amazing. But I rewatched Blade 1, gosh, about a couple months ago. It holds up.
It's
Wesley Snipes is Blade to me, so it's going to be hard to watch another one with some other character. But I agree.
Both those guys just walked right off the comic book page, just literally just pull them right off, and boom, they're real life. It was amazing.
Some MFers always trying to skate uphill, or I skate uphill.
That fits with your Dracula thing too.
That's right. See,
all comes full circle. All right, so now none of us have really disagreed with anything, so let's not screw up number 1. So,
these are your own personal. How can you be upset with somebody's own personal
list?
That is
true. If it's what I love, it's what I love.
You haven't heard my number 1 yet, though.
So let's go there.
All right, are you ready? Buckle up. My number 1 iconic character is me. Okay, so let me explain. That's a category, and so it's from video games. And I grew up, as I said, in the 80s. So a lot of these early 80s games, you played yourself like a true role-playing game. You weren't playing Master Sergeant from Halo or Joel from Last of Us. Some of my favorite games of all time are like Auto Duel from 1985, or you're just a little pixelated thing on the screen. You could be anybody with stats, or Sid Meier's Pirates from 1987, where you get to choose what country you're from, and you're trying to rescue your family because it's your family. So that's a category. So I had to pick one as my iconic one. And so I chose the Avatar from the Ultima series, specifically starting with Ultima 4. I recently read a autobiography from Richard Garriott, the creator of the series, and he talks about a lot of things, but it made me think more about Ultima 4 had this amazing character creation process. I think you can go online and just go through the character creation process, where instead of just allocating stats like you did in D&D and other things that were before this, because, again, we're talking about 1985, Ultima 4, it took you through a narrative of questions to choose your character class and what your stats were. It would ask you moral questions that didn't have a right or wrong, but you would answer one way or the other, and that would make you higher in one stat and push you to another class. So, for instance, you are sworn to protect your lord, and then you see your lord commit a crime. Are you honest about him committing the crime, or do you honor your oath to protect him? Right. So, is there a right or wrong answer to that? I mean, some people would just say, yes, there is. Some people would say no. Some people, I don't know. But, that, and there were stats like, honor, obviously. So you would just answer this series of questions and it would narrow it down. And that's how you determined what your character was in the game. And then you played through as you. So I love those games that let you play as you.
I love that. I think that's brilliant. That's great.
That's
No,
right. So
you disagree, remember?
No, I think it's great. It's another perspective of looking at things I wouldn't have thought to look at, right? I think
did you get into MMOs later on, like Ultima Online, World of Warcraft, which is basically you create your character?
I have played a lot. I mean, I made a troll to play World of Warcraft, a rogue troll, because I thought it was the most ridiculous sounding thing that you could have in the game. And so I did that. It was fun. I played around a lot. And, it's lucky for me that I can identify with a lot of characters in video games, particularly when I was younger. But talking about being able to play as yourself in a game, I think it's really important for representation, right? You need to allow people to play as themselves. You need to let people represent themselves in the game too. And that's something I think a lot of people are struggling with, but we're doing a better job compared to, say, some of the games from the 80s. But I love that. I like being able to play as myself.
I think that's awesome.
Cool. Great idea.
I think I want to play a game with Steve now. We think exactly alike. So that's good stuff.
Children of the 80s, we're all just clones, right?
There you go. All right. So my number one is, in my opinion, not just my number one. I could argue until I'm blue in the face, I think, and that this is the most iconic character ever made, even though they're really second fiddle to the main character in the story. I'll just leave it at that. The quote is, "You have nothing to threaten me with, nothing to do with all your strength."
Is it a movie?
It's from a movie, but it's something that crosses movies, TV shows, comic books. Rocky's a good guess. That's a really good guess, actually. Nope, this is a villain. This is a quote from The Dark Knight, and it's Heath Ledger as the Joker. I think not only is Heath Ledger's Joker the only Joker. So in my universe, like, you have your movies are thrown out, all the other Jokers, maybe Cesar Romero, all the other Jokers are thrown out. I think Heath Ledger's Joker is amazing. But to me, as a child of the 80s growing up with comic books as I did, I loved Batman. But to me, the Joker was such an iconic villain, not because of how he was written or what his backstory was or any of those things. To me, it was actually the most frightening thing of the fact that he could be anyone. It could have been your neighbor, your teacher, anyone could have become the Joker with just one bad day. And to me, that was so amazing in terms of not just how they used him at the beginning, but how they had evolved that character over time. And I just think when you look at all time, like, superheroes and comic books and all these different kind of characters that are involved in movies, I think that the Joker is easily one of the most iconic. I mean, you don't even have to say his name. You just have to hold up a playing card and people know exactly who you're talking about. And I do think Heath Ledger just put in a masterpiece of a performance in that movie. So,
you know what? That is really good, man. If I was to list my top 5 of all time, I wouldn't have thought of him. But now that you've said it, he would be there. He would be.
I have added value.
He's been played by so many different people. I mean, you talked about Heath Ledger, but you know what? In the animated series, Mark Hamill played a brilliant.
Yes.
When I hear Joker's voice, I hear Mark Hamill, just like I hear Captain Conroy's voice when I hear Batman in my head.
Sure.
That's a great one. That's a thumbs up for me, man. Good choice.
Sweet. I've added value to the panel. Yay.
And what's so interesting about him, and when they try to give him a backstory, I don't like it. It's like, I just like knowing there's this crazed guy out there. Yeah, that's why a great point about Heath Ledger. He tells all these lies. How did you get these marks on his face? And everyone is different. It's like,
everyone's different. You don't know how it really happened. And it's so good. And I think that they've kind of in a way are trying to build upon that. I think even though some people haven't really, loved the Suicide Squad original movie or Jared Leto's character of Joker, I think they were trying to kind of maybe build on that a little bit. So the DC movie franchise is a, love it or hate it kind of thing at the moment right now. We'll see how that goes and all. But I think when you look at the Joker in all mediums, between TV, between movies, between comic books, there's so many just iconic moments. And like I said, I mean, it sounds silly, but to me, it's super frightening to think that this clown prince of crime, as he calls himself, could have come from anybody, right? He didn't have to be some superhuman, super smart, anybody that got bit by a radioactive spider or anything like that. Like, just a normal, everyday, average person suddenly snaps and goes that direction, and that's scary. So yeah. I think it's a very iconic character. So
yeah. Well, you know what? Perfect lead into me for Deadpool, Joker. My number one is my most iconic comic book character of all time, and this is one that I've adored ever since I was a child, and that is Barry Allen, who is the Flash. Nice. And I don't know, when I was a kid, I was drawn to him. It's just the idea of running fast I thought sounded cool. But over the decades, it's amazing to me how through things like Crisis on Infinite Earth, Flashpoint, even the Snyder cut of the JLA movie, Flash is the one that saves the world and the universe a lot. And he's one of those guys, he's kind of a side guy, but man, some of these iconic stories, it's Flash that saves the day. So I've always loved that character. He's got a wife that's from the future and everything. And of course, he has the nephew is Wally West, etc. But Barry Allen, who is showed up in Showcase number 4, the comic Showcase number 4 in 1956. And it's still considered, or still is, one of the most expensive comic books today.
Wow, I did not know that. That's a good choice. And that's another one of the not the primary characters that you would think, right? You think Justice League, you think Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman and things like that. I don't know his name, but the actor that plays Barry on the TV show is great. Like again, talk about guys who stepped off the page. He's phenomenal.
Which is actually a 10-second squirrel moment. That's why I had an issue with the guy that plays it in the JLA movie. To me, that's Wally West, not Barry Allen. But the guy on the TV show, I think, is Barry Allen. So I agree.
That's cool. All right, take us home, Philip.
Okay. So my number one is a character which represents something bigger as the whole concept which he's carried. And this will come with one bonus. And again, because I'm the host, so I can have bonus. So my number one is Link from The Legend of Zelda.
Hold on, I got the amiibo somewhere. Hold on.
Hold on.
Oh, this is an amiibo show.
I think my kid is wearing a Link costume in the other room. I'll go get him.
I have my Street Fighter Mini. Does that count? That's awesome.
So, why? Like when I read about how the game was created and how the creator create and why he created the Link and why the Link is called Link, is because something which you, Steven, says that it's about you. Like Link, the name of Link is because he is just a link between you as a player and the world of the game. He just allows you to go through the whole story and the whole world. Second thing is that across the whole series of Legend of Zelda, the main part is the journey, not the goal. Because like through the whole all of the years where like the new Zelda come out, like the story is set from the beginning. You need to rescue a Zelda princess, right? You need to like reach the Ganon and kill him, and and because the story is set and clear and did not change across all those years, the journey is what matter. And the journey change all the time. Like from game to game, they not only change a little bit how you achieve your goal, but also they change the visuals. Like Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, the new Zelda Breath of the Wild. Like they play with styles, ideas, and because the journey, well, this is what mattered there, and then how you experience that. That's why Link. And I promise you one bonus. The second bonus is Mario, because you know, and Mario, the same. Like again, we need to rescue a princess, of course, because all Nintendo's games need to be about rescuing princess. But you cannot find any other characters in video game who like pass the test of the time, and every time you are surprised on what they can do new in this genre. Like in Mario Odyssey, you have a hat and you can start becoming everything. Then in Mario Sunshine, you have this water jackpack, and everything was about the water. In Mario Galaxy, it's about the planets and gravitation. Like they came with something new, and this character allows us to carry us through all those ideas and have a lot of fun. And that's why those both are put together, as both of them was created by the same man.
And we just finished the 35th anniversary of Mario, and this year's the 35th anniversary of Zelda. So Nintendo released some Zelda stuff this year, aside just from what was the new one? Oh, Skyward Sword. I need more.
Yeah, because I need more amiibos. Like
Third Breath of the Wild 2 is shortly coming.
Yeah.
I think I see your Pac-Man on your jacket slightly weeping because he wasn't mentioned at all. I have to give a shout out to Aidbar, who in chat just said, "These are great lists, but we need a silent moment for no MacGyver." I think that's funny.
Let me drop a paper clip on the ground for him.
That's great.
Yeah,
great.
That was fun. That was our time to talk about ourselves and what impact us. And I'm so happy with all the lists, and that you came with this. You actually prepared yourself very carefully, like categorizing all those stuff, and this impressed me so much because I just go through what I like.
I couldn't do that. What I like is top 100, right? I had to somehow narrow it down.
It's so hard when someone says pick top 5 of anything. My brain immediately is like, oh, well, that, well, no, that, no, that. It's like everything starts coming to me at once. So
yeah, and maybe there was some comments and some other picks from other people.
Yeah, somebody mentioned Rocky when I had mentioned one of my quotes. I think Rocky's a very iconic character. Ooh, what is your favorite villain?
Your favorite villain. So yours has got to be Joker, right?
Well, yes and no. So I think that's actually a really good question because of the caveat at the end. She says it's really hard to create a convincing bad guy or girl who's not just like, I'm evil because I'm evil. So yes, normally under any situation, if someone said, who is my favorite villain, I would say Joker. With that one though, the first one that comes to my mind is Magneto, because I have always felt that Magneto's position is really just perspective. It's a question of, if you're not familiar with Magneto's lore, he witnessed the horror of the Holocaust and his family was affected greatly from the Holocaust. So he saw persecution against people and hate against people because they were different and because of who they were. And that was a huge factor in the X-Men series, was around social economics and people and societal demographics. And I think that he's one of those like villains that you can look at and kind of be like, you're not wrong. like it's all perspective on that. So I think he's a very well written villain, and I can't remember because we're just saying it off the top of our head, but the younger guy who played him in X-Men Days of Future Past was phenomenal as him. I thought he did a great job.
Michael Fassbender.
Fassbender, that's it. Yeah, great job.
So I mean, when I'm thinking of villains, what is there to like about a villain? I mean, I can think of three things. I can think of, and I can think of a couple of characters that fit in these. One of them is they think they're doing the right thing, right? They have a single-minded purpose. They're going to save the world or whatever by doing this. Thanos is a great example of that, right? Yeah. He's not just evil to be evil. He thinks he's saving the universe. And then there are characters that have. You see, kind of like you talked a little bit about the Joker, you see how they become evil, right? They kind of slide into evil. And then also I like evil characters that have a redemption arc. Yes. And so I would say in both of those cases, you could say Darth Vader. He definitely has the redemption arc at the very end. He sort of kills the Emperor. Spoiler alert there. And saves
sort of kills. I like that.
Sort of. And he saves his son at least, right? He saves Luke. But also, and the first, the 1, 2, and 3, the second trilogy, they are sort of panned, but I thought they did a pretty good job of showing Anakin's slide into evil. Right, with the Jedi Council disrespecting him, with his mother being kidnapped and killed, right? You can see where that anger and pain comes from. They sort of dropped the ball and went too fast at one point, I think. But it was a pretty good story arc, and Thanos and Darth Vader. It'd be hard for me to choose between them as my favorite villain. I'm probably forgetting some other villains that I like too, but those just came to mind immediately because those are the three things I'm thinking of.
Marty, who's the bad guy or bad girl you like?
I'll let Philip go first because since y'all jumped in, I thought again, I'm the same way. I'm very interested in villains when I can understand their point of view and why they're doing it. Sympathy. When you can sympathize for the villain, much like Magneto and Thanos, it's like, yeah, I get why you're doing it, but you shouldn't be doing it, sort of deal. Those are my favorite, and now I'm just drawing a blank. So, Philip,
what you're doing?
Okay. In my case, it will be also hard to name that person a villain, but it is a villain from the book perspective, and I'm talking about Three Body Problem book, the best sci-fi book of of all time right now for me. And there is a character, and his name is Venji, and I don't know how to spell it correctly, but she was an astrophysics who did a first contact with 3 Solarians. So this first contact with another civilization, aliens we can call them, and basically, you start learning about her from the beginning of the game and her point of view and why she decided to make this contact, because this contact equals that they will came and invite us, do invasion on the Earth, because they are with this terrible situation of rotating 3 bodies around their planet. And she did that because she thought that we as a people, we are not deserved to live on this planet. This planet is so full of resources, so healthy, that we, in how we behave, we are not deserved to live on this planet, and someone else should came here and explore this planet, not in the bad way, but like live here and do better rather than what we are doing with the planet. And when you read the book, you think like, oh my God, she did the worst possible thing for the humankind. He contacted aliens so they can find us and destroy us. But then you experience what she experienced in the book, what she go through, and you have this. I like those moments when you don't like what that character do, but you exactly know why, and you kind of, when you was in this position by yourself, you could lead yourself to do the same thing because you know the story. So you hate that person because of what that person did, but you can sympathize with her feelings and what drives her to do that. And I like when the villains have this story that discussing with your inner peace. Like, I don't like that, but taking in consideration what she go through, I know why she did that.
I think that's what makes the best villains is they're relatable in the sense of you understand where their anger is and you understand where their passion is or their frustration is coming from. And it's one of those things that as a normal everyday human, you're like, I can see that. And again, it's not what you're doing. It's not what you're fighting for or fighting against. It's how you're doing it and how you're fighting against it. So I think, all of those are great examples. So now I really want to hear Marty say that his favorite villain is Tony.
That's fair. It's Rodney. So I was trying to think of recent stuff that I've watched. So I tell you, very recent, I'm really enjoying on Falcon and Winter Soldier, Zemo, where in the movies he was cast as the villain, and then you see his character now. It's like, oh, yeah, super serum is probably not a good thing to have for people just to be running around like this. And I like villains that are relatable. Relatable and likable. And this is a deep cut because I just watched it. Have y'all ever seen the anime show Death Note?
Yeah.
You saw Death Note. So the antagonist in that movie show, Light, he gets a book that basically, with one write of a person's name, they die. So his idea is like, the world is a horrible place. So I'm just going to kill all murderers, criminals. In his mind, he thinks I am doing 100% the right thing. And you totally get why. But then he descends into basically madness of basically the power that he has to restructure society. But it all stemmed from, but wait a minute, if I just get rid of all the bad people, then we're just left with utopia.
Yep.
Yeah, like the same question when, for example, Thanos, his power to click and destroy half of beings, not because he want to kill half of the people, but because he want to make, like, he want the planet to do better. And he thought that when we limited population, the second half will live better life. So it's like,
and he's also doing it fairly, right? It's just random who is going away.
Yeah. But
I still want to know if he could have been part of the 50% that disappeared.
I think so. And based on the character portrayal, I don't think he would have cared.
Yeah.
There was someone in chat said a great villain is Anton. I think his last name is pronounced Chigur, Chigurh. He's from No Country for Old Men. That is a very, very good choice because that character was evil.
Yeah. I can't remember his motivation though. It's been so long since I saw the movie.
Yeah. That's good. My hero is Eowyn from Lord of the Rings after killing the
Nazgûl. Eowyn's one of my favorite characters. That's another one of those not the main characters.
Yeah,
sort of
secondary character for sure.
Her and Eomer were two of my favorite from that series.
I almost put Boromir and Sean Bean on mine, but I figured somebody else would have somebody from that. I love Sean Bean. He's a great actor.
If you want somebody to die, there you go.
Yes,
that's true. That is true. That's true.
Sean Bean's gets a script. It's like, Dad gummit, I die again.
Yeah. Why my script has
to come back and
pages, right? Why my script has just 10 pages? Like, there must be more.
Hey, if you can make a career out of 10 pages of script and just do a couple of movies every year, there ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's true.
You know, I saw a funny joke recently about a character dying in a movie because they're making a D&D movie, and it says they should have a character die and then like a scene later have the same actor show up playing a different character.
Weren't you a boy? No, wait. That's pretty funny.
I just rolled a new character last scene. Don't worry about it.
That's funny. All right, so I need to turn in my geek card now because John says Black Adder is a true villain. Who is he referencing when he says Black Adder?
Black Adder is as far as I know, an old television show that starred Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I remember that. That's funny. I don't remember watching the show. I know who Mr. Bean is, and I know who Rowan Atkinson is, but I don't remember the show at all. So.
Oh yeah, I didn't watch the show. I just knew who it was.
And then John also said Venom. Venom is a very good choice too. That's a good villain. That's a good villain.
And he becomes like an anti-hero. So
yeah, very much that kind of, love me or hate me. I'm just going to do what I want to do. Right.
Right.
So,
kind of like Deadpool.
Yeah, that's true. But he does it with flair.
And chimichangas.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. At Restream, I always saw myself as a good villain. I like that. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm kind of glad that we all had our own little take on this, and we didn't people may believe us or not. We didn't plan this. I mean, I literally got an email from Rainer saying, "Hey, just be prepared to talk 5 characters," and I'm like, 5 characters from what? Like, how do I narrow that down? I'm like,
and we only had one crossover, right? Indiana Jones.
Jones, yeah. So
that's
Indiana
impressive.
Jones is the winner here. So congratulations, Shia LaBeouf and Kingdom of the Crystal Monkey Skull.
What you talking about?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So
Cool.
I think we are done because I can truly believe that we can still talk, and our top 5 will become top 100 and then 200, and we can keep going with that. But it was such a pleasure, guys, to talk with you, to have you here on our show during B&D CON, and just have fun. And I hope that because we had fun, I hope the people who was watching also had fun with our weird picks. And then now we can move to Rainer. Rainer, are you there? Are you there? Let's try Rainer.
No, here he comes.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yet?
Like Rainer
I
is
guess-
the
I
great
guess I'm-
villain. He is the great villain when it comes to the absolutely bad jokes. Like, yeah.
I was going to say, Rainer's one of the nicest people I've ever met on the planet, so I don't know if that's possible for him to be a villain.
Well, have you heard of the first time when Filip and I met?
Uh-oh.
In
There's a
person.
story here.
Okay, I need to go, right? Okay.
So we were in Reno, and we had to get some supplies for the Gamma trade show, and so this was before our 2 companies merged, and Filip and Eric were there, and they had to do some shopping, and Kuba and I were there as well, and we had to do some shopping. Went to Walmart, and for the whole probably 30 minutes that we were at Walmart, I followed Filip around and I told him dad jokes. And
And I was like, where are those chairs? Like, give me those chairs right now and the table, and we can go.
You definitely make the villain list. That was evil.
Yes. Yeah.
and he had no place to escape. And I mean, I still do this at conventions and stuff. I bring pepper licorice to conventions, and I get reviewers to
That's
taste
evil.
it. So Marty, next time.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's
what's
delicious. It's delicious. Trust me.
what's your best bad joke?
My best bad joke? I don't have bad jokes. I only have good ones.
That's a good answer right there.
Very good. Well done.
And unfortunately, we do not have enough time. So to Reiner to tell his very long jokes, because
Okay.
they like the one aspect of his jokes are that they are very long.
And pointless.
Yes, and you want to kill him when you hear the plot at the end.
Yeah.
One time I played a really long con joke on my wife. I wanted to rickroll her with this great rickroll video, which says it's a Star Trek movie extended footage, and somebody says on screen, and then it starts the rickroll, and it has Khan yelling at him, etc. But I couldn't show it to her because she'd never seen the Star Trek movie. So I showed her Star Trek 1, and then I showed her Star Trek 2, and then I sent her the video so I could rickroll her.
Nice.
Oh, actually, Reiner, I have a joke for you today. May I? So, Reiner,
Absolutely. And that's how we fix that.
That's a mic
Nice.
drop exit, right?
Oh, that's good.
Filip said that he was allowed to cheat because he was the host, and I'm like, well, I have the powers over here, so
You can turn him
we
off.
can, we can leave him on there and just mute him.
Well, thank you guys for letting us come and talk about things
thank
we
you.
love. And I echo Philip's comments. I hope everyone enjoyed it and had a good time. I've been reading some of the things that have come up in chat, and you guys have had great people to add into the conversation as well. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to demoing Zappotech tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Play Origins. Like now I specifically
want to
want
play
you
Origins.
guys, I want you guys to make a Crystal Monkey Skull promo card there for that
Lord.
game just for Marty. Like, that's amazing.
I'm sold. I'll get it. I'm sold.
I think we should.
Right now, I know what gift to send to Marty. I will send to him a Blu-ray edition, those if you have 15 minutes extra movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would be funny if you sent us a copy of Origins and in there was a copy of Crystal Skull. That'd be hilarious.
We're going to post your address in chat so everybody from around
Yeah,
the
that'd
world
be
can just
good.
start sending you crystal skulls.
I'm not in the minority on this, so this isn't like I'm stepping out on a limb or anything like that.
This is going to be one of those things where like everyone who joined late is now thinking Marty loves this movie, and they're going to send him like all these things about it.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
Oh.
All right. Well, we will be taking a bit of a break here. So the next thing that comes up will be in about 40 minutes. We will have an interview by David from Man vs. Meeple, who will be interviewing Andreas or Odendahl.
Look forward to that. That's going to be good.
Yep.
Cool.
And otherwise, yes, thank you everyone for this. This was a lot of fun. And we will be back in a little bit.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.